I don't know if anyone's actually going to really watch this video, but I just want to make it because I'm curious. So it's funny because this whole channel becomes a community. It becomes an experience, right? You know, it's fun for me to make the videos because I get to see the psychological effects of how that, you know, lands on thousands of people. I get to see a collective response in which, for the most part, people typically don't even agree in the comment section. They have their own views, their own truths, and whatever you believe about hair loss is true in your mind. When it comes to hair loss, I believe that more than anything, that whatever you believe about hair loss is true in your mind. That's probably the number one truth about hair loss, if I've ever known one, after doing over 2,200 videos on this channel, mainly about hair loss. But what I wonder is, and I'll tell you someone who's really inspiring this, you know, people who have been around watching my channel for a while now and leave comments regularly. People like Maxwell Smart, and I always say, Max, you should be making these videos, not me. And now who's the newest recruit? Sylvan Strength. He watches all my videos, he comments on them, he's conversating with other people who leave comments and trying to give them direction. And it's like at some point, and I even told him, I said, why don't you start your own hair loss channel? See, that's the thing, is that everyone has their own truth. So I speak my truth, and even if someone largely agrees with my perspective on the whole thing, they would still be catering to a different audience. And I think it's interesting because I guess I'm asking the question, if you, the viewer, had your own YouTube channel about hair loss, what would your truth be? And what would you be telling people? What would your videos be about? Because keep this in mind, there's an algorithm to Facebook, you know, and I've figured that out for both of my channels, and that is you have to basically do 2 to 3 videos a day for YouTube to keep you at the top where people are more likely to see it in the suggested videos. So if you only make one video and it's nicely edited and very well produced, you're banking more on the fact that hopefully people will want to watch it because it's so polished, and you're hoping the free market takes it there and shares it on social media. Or you do what Nick Shell does and follow the algorithm and just do 2 to 3 videos per day, so that they, by default, because it's such a library, just shows up in people's feeds, and that's how you grow the channel. Assuming that if you had a channel on YouTube that you'd actually want to see it do well and not just do a couple videos and then just do them spare. No, like if you wanted to legitimately be a YouTuber who talked about hair loss, my question is, what would you talk about, and what would your truth be? What would you be talking about? Because see, that's the thing. When it comes to hair loss, you have to have a truth. You have to have some kind of fundamental belief that everything is filtered through, whether you want it to or not. Just like, let's go with accent, just like with my accent, okay? A lot of you are only just now in this video finding out I was born and raised in Fort Payne, Alabama. What? You're from Alabama? No, you're not. No. I was born and raised in Fort Payne, Alabama. I went to college in near Lakeland, Florida, and then Lynchburg, Virginia, and I've lived in Tennessee since 2015. Other than traveling the world a little bit in college, as I was a teacher, an English teacher, I've spent almost the majority of my days in the South. And yet I don't have a strong Southern accent. And then you found out that my mother was like 15 or 16 when she moved to the South from Buffalo, New York, on the border of basically Canada. That's when I think of Buffalo. I think, yeah, it's so close to the border of Canada. It's pretty much right there, Niagara Falls. But everything that I say is going to be through some sort of accent. Even if it's not a strong Southern accent, you may hear hints of it in there. You may even hear parts of Buffalo, New York. Maybe it just becomes neutralized and it's more like, I don't know, Louisville, Kentucky, or just anywhere in Ohio. Still though, I can't deny my accent without changing my accent. And my point is this: if you were to do a hair loss YouTube video channel, you would by default have your truths that you would speak. And then you would get to see how the free market responds to that. Would they even respond? Would they even watch you? And then you would see what I experience and have experienced for years, that 25% of the people who watch you are gonna hate you no matter what. 25% of the people are going to be skeptical and not necessarily like you, but may eventually start liking you. 25% of the people may like you, but then eventually turn on you once you start saying something they don't agree with. And then 25% are going to stand by you no matter what, because they ultimately like you and they can accept that they don't have to agree with you on everything you ever say to still like you. So much psychology goes into doing a YouTube channel, but to begin with, but especially when you're talking about something so sensitive and personal like hair loss. And then when you have to make 2 or 3 videos a day on average to keep your channel where people can actually see it in the suggested videos column. So that's a behind the camera look at what it's like for me, just a glimpse. But this isn't about me, it's about you. I want you to tell me, if you did your own YouTube channel about hair loss, what would you say? What would it be about? What would your truth be? Because whatever you believe about hair loss, finish the rest, is true in your mind.